So you left with just you and your husband, John, that came?
No, Nick.
Nick?
Yes.
Okay. Did you see him the whole time he was off his tube?
Yes, I did. And I could see him. He was over there, and then he came back over, and then I just heard screaming.
This isn't real! This isn't real! Oh my God!
Does Nick know to carry, does he ever carry a weapon with him?
He had a knife in his pocket.
Well, we got some stuff to work out, okay?
Okay.
Because it was more than just some injury. It was a pretty serious event that happened.
Telling us, please help us. This guy's a pedophile and he won't leave us alone. Yeah, he just started stabbing everyone. And then...
So how many people got hurt?
I was told at least 3.
No, this is not happening yet. No. This is not happening yet. No. A guy just stabbed 3 people. A man's intestines are falling out of his body.
On July 30th, 2022, a group of teens swimming in the Apple River noticed a 52-year-old man allegedly making inappropriate comments towards one of the females in the group.
He was looking for a little girl! You were looking for a little girl? Yeah!
A physical altercation between the man and the teens ensued. However, things would quickly turn for the worst, because after being pushed over by the teenagers, the man pulls out a knife. And shortly after getting to his feet, the man goes to attack. Nicolae Miu, the man with the knife, would go on to take the life of 17-year-old Isaac Schumann and injure 4 others in the process. One of the victims, AJ Martin, was cut so bad he had intestines protruding from his body. Panic erupted, blood stained the river, and witnesses flooded county police with 911 calls.
No, this is not happening yet. No, this is not happening yet. No, no, my God. Please come. Apple River, can you, I don't.
Yep, we got help coming. Are you there with the...
Yes, right here.
Thanks for calling 911. Where's the address of your emergency?
Hi, I'm at Apple River. We're on the river, and a guy just stabbed 3 people. A man's intestines are falling out of his body.
Oh, okay, stop right now. What's going on?
I'm on Apple River in Wisconsin.
Police rushed to the scene, but the damage had already been done, and the attacker, Nicolae, had fled the scene. The race was now on to apprehend Nicolae and determine what caused him to commit such a horrifying act. This footage has never been seen. Viewer discretion is advised.
I'll peek it this way if you peek it this way.
Yep. They're doing CPR right now. If we could launch a boat here and get up there, that'd be awesome.
Suspect went into the woods at the initial location, a quarter mile upriver on the 64 bridge.
Did he go up on the north or south bank?
South bank.
He went up right here?
They don't know.
Okay.
No one knows.
Okay.
They said this region. They don't know exactly where.
Okay.
Are you 3 all witnesses? Friends of one of the victims, or?
All of them.
All of them? Okay.
I just saw the video that the dude.
Oh, okay. You didn't see it in person happen though?
No.
Okay.
We were floating. We caught up to that group of kids, and the guy was harassing them. And so I wanted to stop it before. I was worried they were going to hurt that guy.
Okay.
You know, I was worried they were going to gang up on him. She went over there to try and defuse it. He punched her, and then started. He just started stabbing everyone, and then the other group tried to stop him.
And what did he look like?
He was like probably this big, 250 pounds, beer belly. He was wearing a chain. He was kind of bald.
He was stereotypical sleazy Russian. That's what he looked like.
First saw him, he had scuba goggles.
Yes, clear goggles.
Scuba goggles on? Okay.
Now that the officers have a clear description of this man, all hands go on deck to find him immediately. As such, officers send up multiple thermal drones and shut down the area until his capture. The hunt is on to find this ramped killer.
I'll turn around to stop sign up here. Hey, you guys need people? Start roaming perimeter on this road. 30-year-old white male, black shorts. You have the picture? No, you guys have not yet. I'm waiting on the picture. White male, about 30 years old. I went down, there's a campground down here at the river. I notified all of them to get off the river. Okay, what's his name? I don't think we have a name. I don't think we do yet either. Just start roaming this.
However, it wouldn't take long to find Nicolae, as a witness noticed him and threatened him with a baseball bat to wait for officers.
Our current witness says that the male appears to be wearing a camel-colored shirt.
Okay. Yes. I'm sorry, yeah. No,
You're just being detained at this point, okay?
Yes.
D6 dispatch, believe we have the suspect detained. Believe we have him detained at this time.
No weapons or anything like that?
36 has a possible suspect detained at 1649.
What's your name?
Nick.
Nick what?
Nick Miu.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's it.
He's got a silver chain. It matches.
Silver block chain. Like I said, sir, you're just detained at this point, okay? We'll explain anything in a second here.
I'm still coming to Virgin. I'm just getting for Baldwin. And I need it.
The guy with the baseball bat was just responding to the sighting. Can you step out for a second? We just want to check you out. Are you injured at all?
No, other than my butt. Very injured and scratched.
Your butt's injured?
Well, from sliding all over the stones.
Oh, the rocks?
Yeah.
All right.
And my hand, I think.
Okay.
Take a look at your hair.
Yeah.
Now that police have Nicolae apprehended, they can bring him to the station and begin investigating what happened. However, as Nicolae is about to leave the lake, he says something that would change this investigation completely.
I hear somebody got stabbed. And I fit the description.
Yes, you do.
All right.
Yep, so we're working through that now. Did you see that fight on the river?
I heard about it.
You heard about it?
Yeah, and I seen people gather around.
Okay. All right.
And I went over to talk to see if somebody saw anything, but that's about it.
Okay.
Our whole group was pretty interested in finding out what happened.
Okay. And that's your whole group over there?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you see anybody injured?
No.
You didn't see anybody injured? No. Did you see anybody fighting?
I heard people screaming at each other, yes.
Okay. Screaming in anger or screaming in pain, do you know?
Everybody's drunk, so I don't know. I can't tell the difference, but I would say, I don't know, just screaming.
Okay.
You know, calling each other names. That's seen that all day. Right. We've all been drinking a lot. I'm sure they're drunk. I'm sure they're kids being kids.
Not only does Nicolae completely deny that he was responsible for the stabbings, but he pretends that no one even got hurt. The video recordings from the stabbing clearly show the attacker's face, as well as the chain Nicolae is wearing right now. Regardless of what happened during the altercation, the fact that he feels the need to pretend to be completely innocent will downplay any of his future statements. Regardless, Nicolae will be transported to the St. Croix Sheriff's Office, where he will undergo an intense interrogation. But for now, police need to speak with witnesses on scene to try and better understand the story from the point of view of those who saw it directly.
Can you tell me, I guess, what you saw to the best of your recollection?
When we got about 400 yards and here up there, there was a small group of kids. They looked like kids. This guy was harassing them. They were pointing at him, telling him to get away.
Yeah.
Two of the boys ran away, got up out of her. Two of the girls did. They went over and tried to get him away from them. And she reached over and punched Madison in the face.
Okay.
And then the other boy hit him back as soon as he punched her. The guy pulled out a knife and he just started stabbing people that were around him.
Okay.
We were just chilling, and then we saw this older guy start harassing these younger teenagers, and we're the type of people to not let that happen because they're young. So we tried to stop him, and he punched me in the face and then went literally crazy because all the guys started attacking him because he punched me in the face. So he took out a knife and he just started stabbing everybody, and that's what happened. Everybody was just, it's all because he punched me in the face. That's really why everybody just got stabbed.
If you're thinking by that statement that it's your fault, it most definitely is not, okay?
We were floating down the river. We caught up to a group of kids sitting in their tubes with an older guy standing over.
How old do you think kids were?
The kids were high school kids.
High school.
Isaac was part of that group. The one that passed away, he was part of that other group. And they were flagging us down, telling us, please help us, this guy's a pest. He won't leave us alone. And at first I thought they were joking. He's like, no, really, please, help us, help us. He's being very creepy. But that group of kids, I was worried that they were all going to gang up on him and something bad was going to happen to the 52-year-old guy. I was worried something was going to happen to him. We just wanted to shoo the guy away. I figured he'd go away if he saw people intervening. Next thing I know, as everyone's running at me, he stabbed me, you know. And I saw the guy get punched and fall down. And
who's the guy?
No, that's okay. The suspect.
Okay.
I saw him flailing wildly, but I didn't realize he was stabbing everyone. And next thing I know, I'm dying. I can't breathe. You gotta, you know. And I tried to get her in a tube so we could float her down and get her off. And it was just utter chaos from that point.
Based on what witnesses are saying, Nicolae was inappropriately approaching a group of minors in the lake, was noticed by another group doing these things, and was confronted by the teens, causing him to stab anyone who tried attacking him. But this is only coming from the side of the victim's friends. Nicolae's friends and family, on the other hand, would seem to have a completely different recollection of what went down.
Who'd you come with personally?
Just me and my husband drove here, and we met all of them over here.
Okay. At any point in time, did any member of your group ever leave your group?
Just my husband. Ariel lost his phone.
Okay.
So he was trying to find it, and he had it in one of those floaty things, but he thought maybe water got in it, so he brought scuba stuff with, and he put that on, and he was down in the water looking for it.
Did you see him the whole time he was off his tube?
Yes, I did.
Okay. What was he doing while he was off his tube?
He was looking.
Yeah.
And then this group of guys, I don't know how many was on these tubes, saw all of them get off their tubes, and they started hitting him.
Okay. All right. And what happened after that?
I yelled, and then I just heard screaming. And Nick and these guys all came back. They were on the other side, and we were on this side of the river.
Yep.
All I heard is somebody got hurt, but I don't know how. I don't know anything about that. I just heard someone was hurt.
Does Nick known to carry? Does he ever carry a weapon with him?
He had a knife in his pocket, not a very big one, and he said those guys grabbed it from him.
The people he was fighting with?
Yep. They grabbed it, and he said they swung it at him, and he grabbed their hand and moved it away.
Okay.
And that's when they went. I didn't see it. That's what he told me.
Okay. And then they went.
All they kept saying is they called me up, and they started hitting me. And he said all I did was try and look for this phone.
All right. Okay. Well, yeah, there was a few people hurt. Well, we got some stuff to work out. Okay. Obviously, you with the group, being Nick's wife and everybody else, you guys aren't going to be able to leave for a little bit, okay, until we get the okay.
Okay.
Because it was more than just some injuries. It was a pretty serious event that happened. Otherwise, you wouldn't see people showing up in tactical green, right?
Right.
Okay.
Nicolae's friends and wife claim he was spontaneously attacked and that Nick's knife was grabbed by the teens and that he was even threatened with the knife. The phone recording shows Nicolae was ganged up 6-1 when initially confronted, turning to 13 people against one shortly after, helping to authenticate those claims. This complicated things for detectives. The side against Nick claims he's a pedophile and went on a rampage after being called out. The side with Nick claims he was attacked by the teens and didn't see him doing anything predatorial. It's clear based off the phone recording that Nick did indeed commit the stabbings. However, his reasoning is uncertain. If the detectives determine the teens unnecessarily attacked Nick, then he could plead self-defense and most likely win. But if detectives can determine Nick acted erratically after being exposed for approaching a group of minors, then self-defense is less plausible and he'd be facing murder charges. In order to solve this mystery, detectives decide to conduct interviews with every prominent witness that was at the scene the day of the stabbings. However, as the case would unfold, detectives would unravel disturbing secrets from both parties, leading to one of the most twisted conclusions in the history of policing. Police began by talking to Ashley, who was on the scene during the stabbings.
So yeah, I'm just kind of trying to follow up on the craziness that happened out there. How are you doing?
Pretty good.
So you were out there with a group of friends for the day?
Yes, and we were just going down the river, and then we saw this older man harassing these teenage boys. So Maddie said, hey, get away, get out of their faces, just move along. And all of a sudden he punched her in the face. She went down, and we were slowly walking up there, and then said, Dad, I just got stabbed. He has a knife, he just stabbed me. And then that's when I turned and looked at guts were all over. He was holding on to them. And then that's when he was like, go call 911. And I was trying to get back, just started calling everyone and whatnot, telling everyone to get out of the river and everything like that. Everything just happened so fast.
Yeah. So he was harassing them, and then you said he was messing with their tubes?
Yeah, he was trying to like pull apart their tubes.
And that was the first contact you had with that other group?
Yes.
So then, you asked that other group if they need help, and they said that, he was harassing them, messing with their tubes, and then what happened next?
That's when Maddie went up to the group. Maddie went up to the old guy, said, hey, get out of here, stop messing with these boys, they're only teenagers. Like, I don't know what started him off to wanting to punch her in the face, but that's when he punched her in the face, she slipped, fell in the water. That's when everybody surrounded him saying, don't hit a woman, just get out of here, and everything like that. That's when I'm slowly walking towards Maddie to see if she was okay.
Okay.
And everything like that.
Ashley's story doesn't quite line up with the other witnesses' claims, or the speculation that Nicolae was doing anything that could classify him as a pedophile. She claims he was harassing a group of male teens, and when Maddie approached him to stop, she was punched in the face. This is what caused the group to confront and push Nicolae, not because of the predatorial theories. Regardless, punching Maddie for what seems like no reason at all is not only assault of a minor, but degrading to any defense Nicolae could make in trial. Next, detectives speak to Emma, who shared the gruesome and horrifying details of watching the stabbings happen in real time.
Well, if you want, you can just take me that day and tell me everything.
Yeah, it was a day I'll never ever forget, honestly. And so we had our music playing, and we hear arguing. So, we're not paying attention to it because we didn't come there for that. And so we turn around, and that's when my brother, Larry, he was like, sis, you seeing this? And I'm like, seeing what? So then that's when we all get off of the raft. And so we stop it because the current was pulling us. So then that's when I see a guy just stab some poor boy in the stomach and go straight down. And then that's when I saw him trying to put his intestines back in his stomach. He was trying to, still processing what was happening. Everybody was screaming around. The people who were trying to grab the knife from the man, it was like a lady and 3 other maybe teens. She was stabbed and she floated down the river. That's when she floated to us, and we put her on our raft and was holding her insides in because she was still just bleeding out and crying. And so then that's when I got my phone out the plastic bag and called the police, and it's like, dang, how are we going to stop this? But then the other people rushed to go help him, the guy who had his intestines out, and another person was trying to grab the knife from the guy, but still 2 other people got stabbed after that. Well, as we got to the grassed area and we were helping the girl, we were keeping her calm. I was on the phone with the police at that time, trying to give them the location of where we were on the river. The owner of Apple River and his the workers, the people who worked at the river, they were coming down and trying to climb down from the area and asking us what was happening. And we told them what we saw and the weapon that we saw there too. And he vanished fairly quickly, or I don't think he was running, but with all the commotion, we were more concerned about all the blood in the water, intestines floating, and other people who were severely bleeding. And so at that point, it was really just, let's help the people who were hurt instead of going to chase after the guy.
So at what point did you see the knife? Was there already chaos and people that were injured?
I saw the knife. Well, yeah, I saw the knife once it was put into the male's body. He went in and went down, and then that's when the intestines fell out. He pulled the knife out. I saw people trying to swing and grab the knife or stop him, and that's when he just went and stabbed everybody who came at him. He was just poking people. And
so
then,
the first male that you saw injured was the one with the stomach injury?
Yes. Yep, he did walk up first, and he must have saw the knife first, because he did walk up a little hostile, but I understand if he did see a knife and coming at a group of teenagers, I do understand that.
Did you see the other people wounded? I mean, like, did you see the physical action that the older male did to wound the other people?
3 of them. It was 3 of them. 3 of them I did see. Those were all the people who tried to stop, put his hands out, don't do this. And I just stabbed everybody who was in his way.
Can you describe when the other people were stabbed a little bit more? Do you have any more detail to add on that?
First, I did see the other guy swing, so the one who was not as injured, he did like sort of swing at him, but that is when he missed, he didn't hit him, and the guy did come around and then same for the girl, she like came up and like tried to push him, but wasn't successful, didn't have enough reach, and he went right for her side, right, or on one of these sides, on the side right here, and stabbed her in the stomach. And she was trying to walk away, and then she just dropped in the water, and he had her.
Based on both Ashley and Emma's story, Nicolae is painted as a cold-blooded killer who went on a rampage after being confronted and stabbed anyone he could reach. But it seems Emma might have a bias in her retelling of events. She recounts any attacks on Nicolae in an almost defeated way, as if she's ashamed to admit the story was rather double-edged at times. The teens were, without a doubt, wrong to some degree. It was unnecessary to gang up on Nicolae so heavily and attack him helplessly while he fell to the ground. But was this enough reason to stab 5 people in self-defense? The detectives will need to find more evidence to accurately figure this out. So with this in mind, detectives take a different approach and interview Amanda Nicolae's co-worker, who went to the Apple River alongside the same group as Nicolae.
I'll just start. It's my understanding that you are co-workers with Nick.
Yes, he works in the other building.
Okay. And how long have you known Nick?
We started hanging out probably when his wife retired.
Okay, so his wife used to work here?
Yep.
Sandra or Sandy?
Sandy, yep. She was a supervisor in the other building. I'll say 3 years.
3 years is when you kind of started normally hanging out?
Yeah, lots of co-workers come over. She'd invite co-workers over, and everybody's friends with him, and everybody's shocked.
Right. So about Nick, your friendship with him, what do you know about him? Can you just kind of describe him? What do you know about him? His story, where he came from, his history, what his likes are?
He came from Romania. He's just an outdoorsman, likes to fish and doing fishing and just being outside and quiet, just calm. Doesn't like a lot of noise and chaos, but yeah, he's just a very calm, caring guy who would help whenever we needed help with something that would break down. He'd come over and to fix it, or help Ernesto fix something, and just always helping out, always helping people.
Can you kind of just describe the day from there?
Yeah, we just got there and we got everybody together and went and got our stuff, and we started setting up the tubes, and we just got in and started going. And then Sandy kind of looked and said, Nick's in trouble, Nick's in trouble. And I was still sitting and like, Nick's in trouble, somebody help him, somebody help him. And then I got up, I'm looking. I never saw Nick down there. I never saw any of our group down there. And I never saw Nick down there. And I'm just looking, I just see people just going every which way. I didn't see any blood or anything. And I'm like, what's going on? There's a big fight going on. And then I was handed a phone. I think Tatiana called the police, but she handed me the phone. And I'm like, there's something going on. We're at the Apple River floating. There's something happening. There's a fight. I don't know what's going on. And I think I just repeated myself. And then she hung up. After that, Nick came back, and I just looked at him, I'm like, what happened? He's like, they called me a file. They took my snorkel, they attacked me, they threw me on the ground and were attacking me. And I'm like, I thought there was some kind of fight going on and maybe he kind of bumped into them. I did see the kid on the side. I thought maybe he knocked his head or maybe got water in him. I didn't know anything about a stabbing or anything at that time. He looked like kind of stunned and shocked. And then I think he sat down. He didn't say another word. He didn't say nothing, and everybody's just like looking around. I see the police. The police are here. So let's just wait and see. Maybe they want to talk to Nick because he was part of the thing. If I knew then what I know now, we would not have gone down that river. I would have been like, something happened, you gotta go. If I saw something really, if I thought that he did something or I saw it, I'd be like, what do you gotta go, you gotta, and I thought he would even like stop and say, hey, something happened, I have to go. I would think he would have said something like that. And we're all there, and it's terrible for us, because now we're getting all this crap from people. I don't know, I got a phone call this morning, and it was nobody on the line. And so we're all scared.
This is an important interview for detectives. Someone from Nicolae's group, shocked and disgusted by his actions that day. Not only has everyone who witnessed the scene that day painted him out to be a monster, but his own co-worker has too. Police now have a mountain of evidence against Nicolae, but decide to talk to one final person, Larion, who reveals what actually happened leading up to the stabbing.
Is there anything else you can think of about what you saw? Like, some things that would be important to us is like, if you saw who pushed the guy, if you saw anyone else with a knife, if you saw anything like that.
Well, the one of the boys who got stabbed, he was telling us that the dude, he came up to them and asked them for like pictures, like explicit pictures, and I'm like, what? And then y'all got the fighting? I guess they got the fighting. He said, yeah, then you got the stabbing them. So. And he asked him or this is one of the guy who's actually got stabbed? Yeah, okay. Yeah, he got stabbed. He said that that's what happened. The dude was asking them for explicit pictures of the girls that they was with. So I guess from there, it was like, oh, what you doing? They got into an altercation. They must have put their hands on him, and then he retaliated by slashing them.
This claim backs up why he was being called a pedophile on the phone recording. If this is true, then the story makes a whole lot more sense. Nicolae approached the females asking for explicit photos. The females, being mostly underage, declined, and Maddie confronted Nicolae on the matter, potentially putting her hands on him in the process. That's when he punched Maddie in the face, and all hell broke loose. A man then punched Nicolae, knocking him down, prompting him to stab anyone who tried to approach him again. A common opinion stated in unrecorded interviews was that Nicolae allegedly thought the teens on the tubes stole his missing phone, which prompted him to attack the teens. This is largely confirmed in the phone recording as well, as we can see Nicolae searching around the area and pushing the group's tubes around. Detectives would go on to interview countless more witnesses, all with the same general story. Nicolae harassed the group of teens and, when confronted, went on a cold-blooded rampage. But still, people lie. Those who were friends with anyone injured at the scene would obviously remain biased towards the side against Nicolae, and could keep out any information that didn't get caught on the phone recording. So, with that, they sit Nicolae himself down and prepare to confront Nicolae on the piles of evidence they've rigged up against him, and determine whether or not all of these stories are true.
And I understand you're married to Sandy,
Yeah.
right? Okay.
Is she okay?
She is, yeah. I did talk to her. I talked to her for quite a while. I brought her to get the dry clothes.
Where is she?
She is with Ernesto and Amy.
Titi. My puppy.
She's headed home to take care of the dog. So I would like to ask you questions about your day today. What happened, like how you guys got to be on the Apple River today, and then like what your day was like.
All I can say, it was a really bad, it was self-defense. self-defense. There were lots of people that came on to me. Self-defense, and they produced 2 weapons, one I took from them.
This would be the start of Nicolae's string of lies during this interview. Nicolae did bring the knife he used to stab the victims. He brought it specifically so he could cut rope while on the river. After the stabbings, Nicolae threw the knife into the river, which was later retrieved.
That's the only thing I can tell. And they hit me, and they were on top of me, and I don't remember anything after that. I just remember I ran away. I ran away to my group. There were actually people coming over from my group to see what was going on. I said, nothing, just get back on. And they kept asking, and I said, nothing. I didn't explain to them anything because I was so fearful. I didn't know what these people were doing to us. I've never been in a situation like this, where people produce weapons on, and they were saying, they were calling, I don't remember, but they said, don't run away, don't run from us, don't do this, you're a you're this. And I said, people drunk, or you're a I said, the only thing I remember in my mind is, if I'm a should you be drinking? Should you be drinking alcohol and doing what you're doing to people that you don't even know, attacking them? And I said, if I'm a you should be having alcohol, you know? And they took my, I was snorkeling, so they took my snorkel away, they threw it in the water, they grabbed my pants, one wanted to put my pants down, and I grabbed onto him, and I don't know who that kid was, but he had a knife on him. And then there was another knife, a longer knife, looked like a kitchen knife.
This is true. There was, in fact, an additional knife at the scene. It's unclear if that knife was pulled out at any point during the altercation, but at no point was the knife used to stab anyone.
And I don't know what happened to either one of them. I just know that when the kid attacked me, I took that from him.
The kitchen knife or the other
knife? No, the smaller knife.
Okay, what did that knife look like? Do you remember?
I don't even remember.
But it was smaller?
Smaller, yes.
Okay.
So, that's all.
How did you get to be by them? Or who are these people?
So, Ariel lost his phone.
Okay.
The phone was in the floor.
One of those bags?
Yeah.
Okay.
And everyone had one, but his phone was in the floater, so he says, well, let's go look for it. So I put my snorkel on, and I looked, and this guy found something. And they were talking about it, and I said, okay.
This group of people?
This group of people,
back.
Yeah. I went over and I said, did you guys find the phone? And if you did, can I see it? Can I identify it? And they started calling me names. They got off of their tubes. They came at me. So I said, all I need. And they were calling me all kinds of names, insulting me for being in the water with a snorkel. And I said, all I want, guys, did you find the phone? And I saw they had found something.
It seems rather ridiculous that Nick would be called such specific things, if he confronted them as kindly as he says he did. It's very clear he's leaving something out of his story. Keep in mind at this point, Nick has no idea the entire altercation was recorded, so he likely thinks these stories, being completely innocent, seem plausible.
And we were looking desperately to find this phone. And I know somebody found it, but I thought it was that group. They came to me and they grabbed my snorkel and they threw it in the water. Well, the water was so fast, it went under. So I went out after it, and they started, another group of mostly girls came over from the other side, yelling at me or calling me and something like that. And I went back. I actually, after this incident, I don't even know what happened.
Again, another flat-out lie. The phone recording clearly shows Nick was the initial aggressor when he started pushing the teens off their tubes.
I just know that they attacked me, and I was in self-defense. I went into self-defense mode, and then I went over to my group of people. That was it. And they asked me what happened, and I wouldn't tell them. I said, I can't tell you. Let me calm down.
Okay.
I was shocked, so nobody on that knew exactly what happened. The only thing they said was, look, somebody got in an argument over there, like, yep, let's just leave that alone, don't go there. And I said, did you guys find something? And I thought they did. And I know they did, because they were hiding something from me. And then I went over there and they grabbed my snorkel, they threw it down, they got off their tubes, they came after me, they pushed me, one of them hit me, and then there was a girl that came from here and hit me in the back of my head. and I was about right there.
You said right here?
When she hit me, yeah.
And that's when the female hit you?
Yeah. I mean, I feared for my life. Tell you the truth, when they started hitting me and pointed a knife at me, and then another kid pointed a knife, I thought that was it for me. Luckily, I took it from one of the young kids, and I think that's when I swung back.
What did you do with it?
I don't even know.
Okay.
I don't know. Absolutely, I don't know.
Nicolae's defense becomes extremely hard to believe when he constantly lies about the incident. Again, the knife used was his. He did not take it from anyone, he pulled it from his own pocket and used it to stab 5 people. He threw it into the lake in the hopes he could cover the incident up completely. Proof of this is in his talks with police while being arrested, where he pretended he wasn't even near the scene of the crime.
I don't know if you got it back. I have absolutely no idea.
Did you hit him? Like, did the knife make contact with him?
That I don't remember. You were so close.
Sure.
And one had it in his hand, so I took his hand and I bent it and I poked him with his own hand. And then I took it from his hand and then I went and swung like this. So I don't know who I hit. I just know that I took the knife from one of the kids.
Okay.
The other one, I don't know what happened to it. I didn't get hit.
Did you have a knife with
No,
you?
no, absolutely. No.
Okay. But you have one with you today, right?
The what?
A knife to cut. How did that?
I think it's in my car.
Okay.
Yeah. I think
Did you drive or did Sandy drive?
I did.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't even know where it's at, to tell you the truth. It may be in one of the bags we had with us. It may have been in I don't know. Maybe I left it, put it back in the car. Because I went back with a bunch of, I had straps. I didn't want to pay for string. But they say string is cheap.
And what, they probably don't want you to have straps.
They told me, they said, yeah, if you have straps, there was a kid over there. If you have straps, no problem, but the string is free. So I said, okay, I'll take the string.
Okay.
You know, and then I took the straps back. So, because straps can puncture the...
Yeah.
So I had a whole bag of straps that I took back to my car.
Okay. And so maybe the knife was with the straps?
Probably.
Do you have any cuts or marks on you? Have you had a chance to like look at your torso or?
Somebody was telling me that I'm bleeding from my ear, from my left ear.
Who told you that?
Oh, I think it was Amy. They said, make your bleeding from your left ear. I went like this, and I went in the water, I cleaned, but I don't see any blood. I don't know if you see any cuts, but I
don't.
Yeah, so I don't know why I was bleeding from my ear.
This is a smart tactic used by the detective. By getting Nick to confirm he had no injuries, the prosecution can use this as evidence to rule out self-defense. Nick claims Amy told him his ear was bleeding, but says himself that he didn't notice any blood. In addition, it takes him seconds to recall who told him his ear was bleeding, meaning he could have just made this scenario up altogether.
But Amy saw blood?
I think she says you're bleeding from your ear, Nick. And then I cleaned and I said, look, there is nothing. Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if it was blood or if it was weeds she saw. I have no idea. We were like, she was on the other side and I was just...
Yeah, so she's over here, right?
She's over here, yeah, right here.
Oh, so she's closest, Amy's over here, closest to the shore?
Yeah.
Okay.
With the nest right here. And I was over here somewhere in one of these.
Okay, and you got back in that tube then when it was time to go?
Yeah, got back in my own tube, yes.
Okay.
Notice how Nick feels the need to provide a detailed description on this claim from Amy, but not for anything else. This is a common defense mechanism used by someone lying. When they feel as though their claims aren't being taken as truth, they try and depict the scenario in as much detail as possible to make it seem more authentic.
Okay, so you took the smaller knife.
From one of them.
And is that the one that you said that you kind of went?
Yes. Oh, I was going like this. I wanted out. They were coming and they were punching me and they were circling me and they came really close. They were pushing me in the water. I didn't even know if I was holding it right. I just grabbed it from him because he tried to poke me with it. I feared for my life.
Sounds like
I was very shocked. I was extremely shocked.
Is this you?
Yes.
What do you think was happening at that time?
They were fighting me. They pointed the knife at me.
Nick thinks this photo will actually help his case, but he's in for a rude awakening.
Did you see anyone take this picture of you?
No, God, no. I was actually very, very scared. I was very scared. I didn't know what to think. I didn't know what they were doing and why. I mean, I understand they were drunk, but you get drunk, I get drunk, we all get drunk. We don't do that kind of stuff, especially on a river like this, family outing. We don't do that kind of stuff. And I was very, very scared. I didn't know what was going to happen next. So what happened? Can you tell me what happened?
Yeah. 4 people went to the hospital with injuries.
Oh my God.
And 1 person died.
Oh no.
Not a very remorseful reaction for someone who's just learned he killed someone and injured 4 others. It's almost like he fully knew that he critically injured multiple people.
I don't know any of their names and I don't know any genders, so I don't know.
Was that because they fought each other, or is that...
I don't know. I don't know what their injuries are. I was with Sandy the whole time, and then when I kind of turned Sandy over to Ernesto and Amy, then I came here. So I have no idea what their injuries were.
Oh my God. What other pictures did they give you of me?
Just that one. That's the only one I have.
No, my whole life is down the tubes.
Well, I don't know if that's the case. Because people have the right to defend themselves.
I know, but this is Wisconsin.
This is Wisconsin.
Okay. We continue on. I usually know that people that defend themselves, they end up being accused of being this and being that.
Well, I think if you'd asked me what I would have done,
Yeah,
I mean,
that's not fair.
I don't know.
Yeah, you don't know.
I don't know. I would have been scared shitless, I can tell you that.
When that many people try to pull your pants down and hit you, and two boys had knives on them. They didn't find any of those 2 knives?
I don't know. I don't know, but we're looking. And, we're looking before it gets dark out.
I'm glad I actually took that kid's knife. He would have stabbed me. He was not there to scare me. He was there to harm me.
Again, notice how every time a knife gets brought up, Nick feels the need to elaborately explain that he took the knife and whoever had it was trying to hurt him. This is all a deflection tactic to try and make his lie seem less suspicious. Nick would take blood vitals and the interview would conclude, but notice his difference in tone between the start and the end of the interrogation. Clearly, he feels like something went wrong, and those emotions would carry directly into his trial, which would go on for nearly 2 weeks. The trial began with opening statements, followed by witness testimonies from those present at the crime. These were a complete mess, and honestly made the prosecution's story seem a whole lot less credible. Take Larion, for example, who told a completely different story from what he told officers during his police interview.
So what you've provided to the state in terms of what you say you observed, there's much more than that. True?
Yes.
So you give 2 statements, one about 11 days after the incident, 12 days, and one 21 months after the incident. Which memory, in terms of the dates when you give those statements, is one better than the other? If I said to you, memory's normally better closer in time to an event, would you agree with that?
Yes.
All right. I remember he had a hat on. He looked like he wasn't supposed to be in the water. Like he just came out of the bushes. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
So is it your testimony today, under oath, that the person involved in this incident had a hat on and came out of the bushes?
No.
You told the police
I told them that, yes, but I don't, like you said, it could be foggy. I don't think that's what it was no more, though.
Were you intentionally lying to the police?
No.
This is the interview the lawyer is referring to.
The guy with the knife, do you recall what he looked like? Not too heavy set, but he was like an older man. He was an older man. I can't really remember like with his hair or anything, cause I'll just be making something up. I don't really remember, but I remember he had a hat on. Yeah, he looked like he wasn't supposed to be in the water. Like he just came out of the he came out of the bushes. Next thing you know, he get to walking in the water, and they was finna fight or something. The dude in the water swung on him. And he pulled out the knife and got to stabbing him.
Obvious lies like this work against the purpose of his witness testimony and make everything the prosecution says less credible. Generally speaking, this goes to show how unreliable witness statements can be. Larion's recollection of Nick's appearance wasn't even remotely close, yet he was fully confident in those claims. Besides Larion getting outed, the witness testimonies clearly show the jury all the evidence shown so far in this video and every factual piece of evidence that could be used against Nick. They claimed the teen's actions towards Nick did not justify the use of deadly force and should not be considered as self-defense. To further prove this, they presented autopsy reports showcasing just how severe some of the injuries inflicted by Nick actually were.
Did you complete an internal examination of Isaac's body?
Yes.
Can you summarize the results of your internal examination of Isaac's body?
Sure. As I said, I observed, most important, I observed sharp injury to his left chest. Later, I classified this wound as a stab wound. So it was stab wound to the left chest. The stab wound penetrated to his left chest cavity. Then wound kind of continues and go to the left lung. He had a blood in his left chest cavity. I recovered 200 cubic centimeters. It's approximately a glass of the blood.
This would wrap up the prosecution's case and allow for Nick to take the stand. Nick would detail essentially the same story as in his interview, claiming that he was searching for a lost cell phone in the river when he was confronted by a group of people. He felt threatened and panicked when they surrounded him, leading him to use the knife in self-defense. The jury deliberations would begin on July 20th, 2023, and on July 21st, they would return a unanimous verdict, finding Nicolae guilty of first-degree intentional homicide with 4 counts of attempted first-degree intentional homicide. Nicolae had lost. This result was met with mixed reactions from the public. On one hand, it was clear that Nick's actions were extreme, and it was certainly not necessary to use that degree of force against the teens. However, he was ganged up on 13-1 precisely. In the moment, many felt his response was justified, and the teens put him in a scenario to fight for his life. On the contrary, those who watched all the evidence in court, aka all the footage shown in this video, realized Nicolae was lying through his teeth the entire time, and clearly felt he was guilty to some degree. However, public opinion is irrelevant in the court of law, and the jury gets the final say, determining he was a cold-blooded killer. The day of July 30th, 2022, Nicolae would be sentenced shortly after to life in prison. This was his raw reaction.
Taking life and endangering the lives of others are 2 crimes that warrant significant punishment. For count 1, I will impose a term of initial confinement of 20 years, followed by 6 years of extended supervision, 5 years initial confinement, followed by 5 years of extended supervision, 5 years of initial confinement, followed by 5 years of extended supervision, 6 years of initial confinement, followed by 5 years of extended supervision. Count 6, Madison Cohen, 270 days of jail.